Hey, welcome to Native Eats. Today we have a little bit of an unconventional show because I'm not going to show you how to make anything today, and it's not really one of our discussions. I'm just going to talk to you today about what the steps were for me to eating more like a native. How a native in the land would have gone around and ate natural food that the universe would have given us. As you guys know, you watched the introduction, you know how I got to this point. What I did first was that I took out what I thought made my son sick to begin with, and that was the corn syrup. Lowers the immunity. And so it's a blast of highly refined sugar. It is in a lot of our foods, many of our foods, like everyday foods like ketchup. And it's high fructose corn syrup in the ketchup. So the first thing you want to get rid of is the high fructose corn syrup. And read your labels. That's the first step to eating more like a native. Read your labels. Because you would be surprised once you start. And most, some of you guys already do that. But if you don't, please start reading your labels. If you don't know what something says, it's probably not good to eat. Now, there are a lot of, they use a lot of scientific terms for like coconut. So make sure that you Google stuff too. I like it when labels are really straightforward and don't use scientific language whenever they're telling us humans what we're trying to eat. But if they do use those scientific long, just Google it and give yourself the best, do that for yourself. Don't be ashamed to be in the grocery store like me and reading your label or Googling something. No, none of that matters. Just do that for yourself and for your body or for your kids or for your family. And make sure you read those. And if it says it has high fructose corn syrup in it or corn syrup of any kind, don't buy it. Look for something that it's made with sugar instead of high fructose corn syrup. Second thing that I got rid of was gluten. And mainly the most popular gluten item is wheat flour. Bread is, commonly called bread, which is a very vague term because bread can be made of anything nowadays. And certainly in the Native Eats kitchen, it is not made with wheat flour. Bread here in the Native Eats kitchen is made with ancient flours that were all natural, grown on our earth. They were not genetically modified. They weren't made by man, science, or anything like that. The grains that we eat in the Native Eats kitchen are gluten-free, number one, and they are ancient grains. And some of them are not even grains. Like you have alternatives like almonds, nowadays. Almond flour is wonderful. There's coconut flour. So there's lots of different alternatives, but when it comes to the grains, you just want to make sure that you have an ancient grain, something that is an heirloom. That's what that means. It's just an heirloom. It's ancient. It was originally here on earth, and it was not genetically modified or made by man in a chem lab. And that means that your body recognizes it. That's all that means. It sounds really complicated, but I think it's the alternative is that we've made it complicated. Us Americans and maybe other countries, but America, I think, is really guilty of that. We've made it very complicated in our food system, and it shouldn't be so complicated to get natural foods, and you shouldn't have to figure it all out, but that's what I'm here to do. I have been that person over the past decade that has read every label and Googled everything, and I'm sure there's so much more for me to learn, but up until this point, I have learned a lot. And I wanted to mention on the gluten is that there are some other things other than wheat flour that have gluten in them, like barley. And barley might even be an ancient grain, I think it is. But the thing about the gluten is that the reason why you want to cut it out entirely is because, first of all, number one, we don't have to eat it nowadays. You don't need to have barley. You don't need to have wheat because we're not starving here and we have food readily available that's really good for us, alternatively. Because of that, you don't need to introduce yourself to something that is glutinous, meaning that it's like stretchy, meaning that it's like sticky, meaning that you have an intestine that's like a little tiny tube and it goes around and around and around. And you've got a big sticky, putty type of material trying to make its way down this little pipeline. And that's why our bodies have some trouble with gluten, and some people are even allergic to it. And I believe that those people that are allergic have smarter bodies than those people like myself who are like goats who could eat an aluminum can and probably be okay. But since I've been eating clean and I don't eat like a goat anymore, you don't have to introduce your body to these things if you can just eat to live and give your body things that your body wants to digest and that it wants to distribute all the vitamins and doesn't have to put up a huge fight to digest, and then there's no vitamins. And now the third is industrialized dairy and industrialized meat. You don't want to eat those types of things. You want to cut those out altogether. That's the milk you buy at the store that's been pasteurized and boiled, and it's probably not grass-fed, and it's probably not A2. But if it is all of those things grass-fed and A2, it's yet been boiled, because it's illegal here to have milk that's not been boiled in the store sold to you. So you have to cut that out. Why do you have to cut out industry meat? Why do you have to cut out industry dairy? I have a discussion on that. There's a dairy discussion, please watch that. There is a meat discussion, please watch that. But I'm gonna give you just a short summary of that, but you can definitely watch those discussions. But you don't want to eat that industry meat and dairy, because basically you are eating nothing at that point, and it's probably toxic. Number one, they have boiled in the milk all the vitamins and minerals out. There's nothing left in it, and it's probably been through a lot of processes that makes it have a possible bacteria, and there's no vitamins left in it. And meat is toxic in most cases because it's not grass-fed or it's not a heritage breed cow. And if you get past all of that, it's very, very expensive in the stores. So then most people don't eat it. And if you don't buy the grass-fed beef, and then there's different, meats too. There's chicken, right? And there's all sorts of things. So it's not just beef. And everything has its diet that it should be eating. And so you need to make sure that you eat the food, those meats that are eating the proper diet. Otherwise, they transform all of their food that's not proper to toxins in their bodies. And then those toxins are transformed into your body. And now your body has to digest this animal's toxins. Watch the meat discussion. So the next thing you're going to get out of your diet is you're going to remove all the toxins and the additive. Remember I talked to you about the labels. So you just read the labels, and you want to make sure that you're not eating, like, for example, a really good example is bacon, hams. Those types of things have nitrates. I can't even say it, erythrates or something. They have 3 different types of nitrates in them. And those nitrates are not good for you. And you can Google them and find out, why, and make your own assessment. But all of those preservatives in those foods to make them last longer and all that kind of stuff, all the chemical. Now, I do have a nitrate-free ham hocks and bacon that you can watch. You can watch that show that I make it myself, and I show you how to make nitrate-free brine for your bacons and your hams. So you're going to remove all the toxins, the additives, and the chemicals and the preservatives in your foods. So now you're looking for foods that just really have the basic ingredients that you recognize as food. And then number 6, this is really quick. You're going to do the same thing for anything you put on your body. Your skin is the biggest organ on your body, and it's porous, and it sucks in everything that's around it. It even probably smokes cigarettes when you walk by somebody that's smoking. It sucks in, all those carcinogens and those toxins. And so what you're rubbing on your body, you want to read those labels. Make sure you're not putting something on your organ that is going to be toxic. Number 7, you want to have clean water. It's not easy to get here, believe it or not, but that's an easy topic, right? Clean water. If you're drinking city water at home, test it. I know in our local area, I don't drink it. The best water, in my opinion, is well water that you have your filters on, and you're drinking natural, fresh water from the spring. Depending on your area, just find clean water somehow without fluoride in it. You need to test your water, and if you're drinking city water, maybe you have good water in your area. See what the levels of fluoride are. You don't want to be drinking fluoride or any of those chemicals that they're putting in the water. You need good, clean, fresh water. And then the last thing, number 8, is you want to go 14 to 16 hours in between eating. And the idea in that is that when we were more native to the land, humans, I guess in tune with the land, and we lived on the land more 500,000 years ago, whatever, and we went out and we foraged in the morning. We didn't have a pantry to go and raid and pop some kind of quick meal, processed meal into our bodies. But we went out, we woke up, we got hungry, we exercised, we hunted, we foraged, we came back to camp, we put the camp together, we built a fire. I mean, all these things are happening before you ever got a bite to eat. That allowed for your body to get hungry. You still prepared the food, the meats, and you got like a nice variety of things. Everybody was foraging. So you've got like the veggies, the the greens. The hunting crew came back with the meat and everything was all natural grazed, and then now you come back and cook it. The women ate a few things while they were foraging, and maybe that's why they say women go 14 hours and men go 16. Because the women usually forage, you know, not to be sexist, but that's just the way, you know, kind of what women usually forage and the men usually hunted. And so probably the reason why women go the 14 hours, a few hours less, is because we were probably sneaking a few things, weren't we? We were like, ooh, no one's gonna miss this berry, you know, while we were foraging. So 14 hours on the women, 16 hours on the men, plus we're smaller, as maybe what it is. And we also have to produce milk and, you know, we feed babies and stuff. So we just go a little bit shorter of a time. But if you do that, you're really gonna see a difference in your body, the way you feel, the way that you act, your mood. You will naturally start feeling better. And you know what's so cool about the 14 to 16 hour is there's no time frame. You don't have to get up at 8 o'clock and eat and not eat by 8. It's whatever time frame you want. It's just make sure that you don't go 14 hours. You gotta give it a span. So you sleep 8 hours and then you don't eat for a few hours. It has been great for my body and my kids' bodies that have done it. And the whole diet as a whole, if you just go clean. So after you do the 8 steps to eating more like a native, the last thing you're gonna do is start over. That's where you can now start replacing all the things that you got rid of with some of the things that you can start bringing in now that you've educated yourself how you can find, number one, how do I start drinking milk again? Raw milk. Find a farmer in your area that you can get raw milk from. And I really encourage you. Some people say, I just don't drink milk anymore and I drink coconut milk. And that's great. But raw milk, I would really encourage you to look it up. I have a dairy discussion as well. You can watch that and then do some research as well on raw milk, A2 heritage breed milk, how good it is for you. It is amazing. And then how do you bring back the meat? Same thing, you're gonna find local farmers, you're gonna make relationships, you're gonna watch the meat discussion and figure out what kind of meat you need. And in the meat discussion, I tell you what the animals should be eating when you're looking at your farmers. You're not going to replace corn syrup in any way except for with sugar. And you can replace it. I guess that is the replacement. There's sugar, honey, so many other things that you can just get with that. A lot of people say you're gluten-free and you don't get to have anything good. Bread, and I eat bread all the time. I eat gluten-free bread. I eat bread that is very good. I make rolls. I make, watch our dinner rolls. You'll see if you watch our show that we make lots of really good things involving bread type biscuits and stuff. You learn how to add it back in the right way, and then your body is now taking in all the foods that you're eating like it was supposed to 1,000 years ago, with natural foods that your body knows how to digest and it recognizes, because we've been around for thousands of years. Thousands, 10, what is it, like 10? It's arguable how long humans have been around. But we've only been eating like this for the past couple hundred years. And now we're getting really sick. I think it's time to rewind a little bit, look back in history, make a correction, and just eat a more natural diet. Thank you guys for coming to Native Eats today. It's been so fun sharing the 8 steps to getting to eat more like a native. And I hope to see you guys more in the kitchen. And I'm gonna be sharing all these recipes with you, eating more like a native. See y'all next time.